Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're doing a deep dive on Wishup virtual assistants. We've got a ton of sources here like articles and user reviews. Oh, and even some internal documentation. So we're going to break it all down and give you the need-to-know info. Basically, think of this as your shortcut to like Wishup wisdom.
One thing that really jumps out at me is how much Wishup focuses on those common worries people have about using virtual assistants, like, the security stuff, and making sure you're actually matched with the right person for the job. And then even what happens if a project ends or your needs change.
Yeah, it's like they built the whole service around like anticipating those hesitations,
Yeah.
which is pretty smart. I mean, if you're going to trust someone remotely with important stuff, that trust is like super important, right? So let's walk through how this all works. It seems like the first thing they do is figure out exactly what you need.
Yeah, they start with a free consultation. They don't just like throw a bunch of random VAs at you. They really try to understand your workflow, what your pain points are, and like what success with a VA would even look like for you.
Okay, so it's not just here's a list of tasks, pick one.
Yeah.
They're going deeper and figuring out the strategy behind it all.
Got it.
And then, based on that consultation, they match you with a VA who has the right skills and experience. And get this, it sounds like they can have someone ready to work in like 24 to 48 hours.
Whoa, that's fast. When you think about the usual hiring process, just getting someone to come in for an interview could take that long. So it sounds like they've got a super streamlined onboarding process.
Totally. And it's not even just about speed. It's about finding that right fit. Like imagine if you could hand off all those annoying email tasks
Yeah.
and, get back maybe 10 hours a week. What could you do with that extra time? Maybe finally launch that side project you've been dreaming of.
That's the dream, right? And it's not just like basic admin stuff they handle. Wishup VAs can do a ton of things. You've got the expected things like scheduling and customer service, but they can also do more specialized things like bookkeeping or even digital marketing and technical support.
Wait, technical support too? That's really impressive. So we're not just talking about someone who can answer emails and schedule meetings. We're talking about someone who could potentially troubleshoot website issues or even like help you build a basic app without coding. That's like next level efficiency.
Yeah, it really is. And it all comes down to their training program. They actually train all their VAs in over 70 no-code tools. This is especially useful for anyone who wants to streamline their work and use tech without, becoming a coding expert themselves.
That's huge. Okay, so now you're probably thinking, all right, this is sounding pretty good, but yeah, then that question pops into your head. Wait, what about security?
Totally a valid concern,
Yeah.
especially when you're dealing with, sensitive info. And it's something Wishup seems to take very seriously.
Yeah, from what I'm seeing, they have strict confidentiality agreements in place. They use secure communication channels, and they're compliant with all those important data protection standards. They're even GDPR compliant, which is like essential for anyone handling data of EU customers. So, yeah, they're definitely not messing around when it comes to data privacy.
For sure. It shows they're really committed to security on a global scale. And it's not just checking boxes for compliance either. They give you really detailed explanations of their data retention and deletion policies. And they even have user retrieval options. It's all about transparency and handling data responsibly.
I mean, knowing where your data is, how it's used, and how it's disposed of is so important these days. So it's great they've got that covered. But then there's the question of transitions, right? Like what happens if a project ends or you suddenly need a different skill set?
That can be tricky with VAs. But Wishup seems to have thought that through too. They have clear procedures for revoking access and a secure handover process during transitions. Ah, okay. So it's not like you're suddenly cut off without any way to get your files or follow up on tasks. That's a relief. What really stood out to me was that they even address what happens if you need to follow up with a VA after a project's done.
Yeah, you can actually ask for a different VA for those follow-up tasks if you need to. So let's say you're finishing a website redesign project, but you still need someone to handle content updates. You can just ask for a VA specifically for that. It's really flexible.
Wow, okay, this is all sounding really good. But let's be real, trying something new can be a little scary. I'm sure a lot of people are thinking, what if it just doesn't work out?
I get that, but Wishup actually addresses that directly by offering a trial period. So you can test out specific skills and see how a VA fits into your workflow before you commit to anything long-term.
So it's like a test drive before you buy the car. I love that.
Exactly. And if for any reason it's not working, you can just ask for a different match. No pressure to commit until you're sure you've found the right VA for you. That really takes the pressure off. It seems like they've thought of everything. Okay, so we've walked through the whole process from the initial consultation to transitions and even the trial period. But now I'm really curious about what kinds of tasks a Wishup VA can actually handle. The sources mention a ton of different things, from everyday stuff to some really specialized areas. Let's dig into that.
Absolutely. It's a pretty comprehensive list, and it's really tailored to each person or business. Should we start with the basic admin stuff?
Yeah, let's start there. I think that's where a lot of people first picture a VA fitting in. Those everyday tasks that just keep piling up.
Right. Think about all those little things that take up your time. Managing your email inbox, scheduling appointments, data entry, even making travel arrangements. These are all things a Wishup VA can take care of for you, freeing up your time and energy for more important work.
Yeah, it really is like having a personal assistant, but without all the cost of hiring someone full time.
Exactly. And for anyone who, feels totally overwhelmed by their inbox, just having a VA manage that can be such a game changer. Think about all the mental energy you could free up just by not having to deal with that anymore.
And it's not just emails, is it? It's all the back and forth just to, like, schedule a meeting. Ugh, a Wishup VA could handle all of that and, you know, just free up your headspace for more important things, like a gatekeeper for your time almost.
Right.
Okay, so I'm sold on the scheduling thing. I definitely spend way too much time on that myself. But what about customer service? It's so important for any business, but it can also be a huge time suck.
You're right, it can be. But Wishup VAs are actually trained to handle all kinds of customer service tasks. They can, manage inquiries,
Yeah.
gather feedback, and provide support through different channels like phone, email, or even live chat. It's all about making sure your customers have a good experience, even when you're not the one directly dealing with them.
That's so key, especially as a business starts to grow.
Yeah.
You can't be everywhere at once. So having someone who can take care of those initial interactions and make sure your customers feel heard is, well, it's invaluable, honestly.
Absolutely. And for those of us who aren't, the best with numbers, the bookkeeping and financial management support is a huge plus. Wishup VAs can handle things like invoicing, expense tracking, financial reporting, even payroll
Yeah,
management.
hold on. They can do payroll? That's a big one. That can be so time-consuming and stressful, especially if you're not like a financial expert.
Yeah, it's definitely a huge relief to know those things are being taken care of and done right. And for anyone listening who wants to, grow their business, the digital marketing support could be a game changer.
This is what I was really curious about. So they can actually help with like social media, content creation, and SEO.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We're talking social media management, content creation, SEO optimization, email marketing campaigns. They do it all. It's all about using those digital channels to reach the right people and, well, reach your goals, basically.
So it's not just about like randomly posting on social media.
Yeah.
These VAs actually understand the strategy behind it and how to actually use those platforms effectively.
Exactly. It's all about making your digital marketing work with your overall business strategy. And for those working on bigger projects or leading teams, the project management support can be a huge help.
I can see how that would be super useful for teams that are, spread out geographically or juggling a bunch of projects at once. Having someone to coordinate tasks, manage timelines, allocate resources, and just keep track of everything. It could make a world of difference.
It really could, like having a dedicated project manager, but without having to,
Yeah,
actually hire one full time.
exactly. And let's not forget about lead generation and sales support. I mean, those are essential for any business, but they could be tough to manage effectively.
They can be, but Wishup VAs can actually help with that too. They can, identify potential clients, do outreach, manage your CRM system, basically be more proactive about generating new business.
So it's not just about like reacting to leads as they come in. It's about actively going out and finding them.
Exactly. Now, all of this is amazing, but I think what really sets Wishup apart is their focus on specialized services.
Okay, what do you mean by specialized?
Well, it goes back to that initial consultation. They don't just match you with any VA. They actually have VAs who specialize in certain fields.
So it's not just a bunch of general admin assistants. They actually have like experts in different areas.
That's right. Think medical transcription, legal research, real estate support, e-commerce management, even technical support. They get that every business is different and needs people with specific skills.
Wow, that's impressive. So no matter how, niche your industry is or how specific your needs are, it sounds like they can probably find a VA who's a good fit.
That's definitely the impression I get. They have a really diverse pool of talent.
Okay, this is all sounding really promising, but, let's be real. There have to be some potential downsides, right? Like, What about things like communication breakdowns or, quality control issues?
That's a good point. No solution is perfect. And it is important to think about those potential challenges. What are you thinking about specifically?
Well, one thing that comes to mind is communication. Like, you're working with someone remotely, often across time zones. How do you make sure everyone's on the same page and there aren't any misunderstandings?
That's definitely a common worry, and it's something Wishup seems to be really aware of. From what I've seen, they really emphasize setting clear expectations from the start, having regular check-ins, and using communication tools that make it easy to collaborate. It's not just about giving someone a task and hoping for the best.
So there's a real focus on communication and building that relationship. Even though it's remote, that's good to know.
hmm
But what about the quality of the work? How do you know things are actually being done to your standards?
That's where the trial period and feedback come in. During the trial, you can see the VA's skills and the quality of their work firsthand. And even after the trial, there are regular check-ins and performance reviews to make sure everything is on track.
So it's about setting clear expectations and having a system to address any issues that might come up. Good to know.
Definitely. And I think it's important to remember that this is a partnership, like any working relationship. It needs open communication, mutual respect, and, everyone being on the same page about what they're working towards.
I like that perspective. It's not about just getting rid of responsibility. It's about working together to achieve something. Okay, so let's say someone's listening to this and thinking, okay, I'm in, I want to try this out. What are the actual steps involved in working with a Wishup VA?
Well, the first step is super easy. You just reach out to them. They have a really straightforward process to get started.
Yeah, it looks like it all starts with that free consultation we talked about, where they really figure out your specific needs and how a VA can help you.
Right. And from there, they'll start the matching process. They'll take into account your industry, the specific tasks you need help with, your communication style, all those things that matter when finding the right fit.
And once they've found someone who might be a good match, then the trial period starts, right? That's when you can really see how it works and if the VA is a good fit for your workflow.
Exactly. You can give feedback during the trial to make sure everything's how you want it. And if it's just not working out, you can always ask for a different VA.
That's great. It's good to have that flexibility. But let's talk about the elephant in the room, the cost. Is this something that's only for like big companies?
That's a good question. And thankfully, Wishup is really transparent about their pricing. It's all right there on their website.
Yeah, and from what I'm seeing, it's actually pretty affordable. They have different plans for different budgets and needs.
They do. They have a lot of options, so you can find the plan that works best for you and your workload.
So it's not just for big corporations. Even small businesses and solopreneurs can benefit from this.
For sure, and I think that's what's so great about it. It's about making this kind of support available to everyone, no matter how big your company is or how much money you have.
Yeah, it's about leveling the playing field so anyone can achieve their goals.
Right. And I think that's a really powerful thing.
We've covered a lot today. We've talked about how Wishup works, from that first consultation to the trial period and everything in between. We talk about all the different services they offer, from those everyday tasks to, more specialized skills, and how they find the right VA for you. But I want to bring it back to our listeners for a minute.
Yes, let's bring it back to the person who's listening to this and, maybe thinking about whether Wishup could be right for them.
So what are the key takeaways we want people to remember? What's the so what of all this?
Well, I think the biggest thing is that Wishup is like a really secure and flexible option for anyone who's ever thought about getting a virtual assistant. They've really thought about all those worries people have and made a system that's all about trust and being transparent. Yeah, and it's not just about like dumping tasks on someone else. It's about giving people and businesses the power to focus on what they're good at, whether that's, landing a big client or growing their business or even just having more time for themselves and their families.
Yeah, that idea of getting time back is so powerful. Okay, so let's get practical for a second. If you're listening to this and thinking, okay, this sounds great, but what would I even give a Wishup VA to do? What are some real world examples?
I think it really comes down to figuring out what tasks are either taking up all your time or stopping you from focusing on the things that really matter. Like if you're always drowning in emails, having someone manage your inbox is a no-brainer.
Right, or if you're spending hours every week just scheduling meetings and trying to get everyone's calendars to line up. I mean, and imagine what you could do with all that extra time.
Seriously. And for business owners, things like social media and creating content can be such time sucks. Having a VA handle those things can free you up to focus on strategy or client relationships
Mhm.
Or even just, take a break.
And what about those things that we all put off because we're just not good at them, like bookkeeping? I'd happily hand that over to someone else.
Me too. Or things like data entry, research, even making presentations, anything that's like draining the fun out of your day or stopping you from using your best skills, those are perfect things to delegate.
Totally. It's not just about getting time back, it's about getting your energy back and focusing on the work that you actually enjoy.
So true. It's all about working smarter, not harder. Which brings us to, I think, a really important question. If time is our most valuable resource, what could we do if we got back even a few hours each week?
That's a great question. What could you achieve if you had more time and energy for the things that really matter to you? Maybe you could finally start that side project you've been dreaming of.
Ah,
Or spend more quality time with your family and friends. Or just take a break and relax. The possibilities are, like, endless.
Wishup isn't just about getting things done. It's about making space for what's important.
I love that. Well said. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into Wishup virtual assistants. We hope you learned something new and maybe even feel a little inspired. Until next time.